it looked like Armageddon. I mean, everything was on fire. It was orange as far as I could see. So much so that like I turned around and drove to the ocean, which seemed like my only option because that direction was just a wall of flame.
At this point, there is no exact number or even estimate as to how many homes and structures have been lost.
There'll be a lot of families that come home to nothing.
The Amazon rainforest is still burning. It's now been 2 months, and though the fires aren't quite as bad as they were, they're still going. Celebrities and prominent people used every platform possible to build awareness around what's been happening. J Balvin at the VMAs, Jaden Smith on Instagram, and the list goes on and on. But as what normally happens, the hype dies down and the problem persists. So the question arose, how does the Amazon rainforest burning impact us? It's almost impossible to get through a day without hearing the phrase climate change. Statistics get thrown around left and right about our carbon footprint, how our use of plastic is completely out of hand, and how the earth is getting warmer, but things are getting bad quickly. To put things in perspective, 2019 has brought on the biggest fire catastrophes in recent history. From California's seemingly never-ending wildfires to the worldwide attention the Amazon rainforest burning received. Last November, the Woolsey fires in Ventura, California grabbed more attention than ever. Nearly 100,000 acres of land were burned, thousands of people lost their homes, and countless people's lives were altered forever. The Ventura County Fire Department was on the front lines, and the message seems clear: these fires aren't gonna go away. Now, how common are wildfires in the state of California?
I would say probably the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen an increase in wildfire activity because of our drought-like conditions, right? We've had fires that were started by power lines. We've had fires that were started by arsonists in the past. There's all different sorts. Every fire is unique to its own start.
How do you describe it? Like, what is it like?
On the Thomas fire, we had 50 to 70 mile an hour winds for 19 days sustained. That means we never had a break in the winds. Because the wind's blowing, there's smoke everywhere. The fire, when it's burning and consuming the brush and the terrain, it actually creates these firebrands. Some of them could be the size of rocks, some of them could be the size of pebbles, some of them could be the size of sand. And so just imagine millions of firebrands just flying through the air, almost like rain, as you're like traversing through these areas. When you were driving through town, it was almost like Armageddon. We were the only ones there. There was no citizens, there was no people in the town. It was us and the fire. That's it.
Melanie Moreau was a victim to the wildfire. Thankfully, she and her family made it out safely, but she lost everything in the Woolsey. The house she once lived in is now just a patch of dirt. Could you see it coming at all? Did you see anything before you left?
That night when we were here, the winds were blowing really crazy, and I've seen it be very windy here, but not like that. I didn't see the fire until I drove a couple miles down the road with the kids and the animals, and then I could see the flames by the freeway, and it was really scary. It was the scariest thing I've ever seen.
The Woolsey fire started over those hills, over in the Bell Canyon area. So all this entire neighborhood was evacuated. The hills, the houses over there were evacuated.
Do you ever feel bad for houses that you can't save?
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially if you worked on a house, like you've prepped it, or maybe you put the fire out and you come back a week later and actually it burned down. Yeah, you feel bad. You really feel bad.
When you think about a fire, you don't think about what the neighbors described as 100-foot wall of flame, but that's what happened, and the firefighters could not even get down here, so they had to wait until the fire actually passed this area before anybody even came.
So literally all you had left was whatever you had on your body and your family, and that's it?
Yeah.
Like every single thing that you owned in your home was gone?
Yeah, everything, every spoon, every fork, every sock, shoe. Things that you think when you look around that don't matter,
right.
And they don't, but what does matter is your photos.
Right.
And I had a lot of those. That's been the hardest part.
Can you describe to me what it was like for you when you came back here for the first time and did not see your home?
That was hard. That was really hard. It was just a pile of rubble, or ash, if you will. It wasn't even rubble, barely. And it was absolutely devastating. I mean, I guess I don't really know how to describe it. It's surreal. The whole street and the area where my house was looked like a bomb had went off. It takes a while for it to sink in.
Do you know of any people who kind of tried to defend their property themselves from the fire?
Yeah, I had heard about one neighbor who stayed behind, as a few of them did, to save their homes, and he ended up having to get in the lake because the fires got so hot and so close that I believe the fire department had to come and rescue him out of the lake. It's not worth it, you know, even losing everything, it's not worth it to stay behind and try and save your house. Now, some of those neighbors that have their homes may disagree, but I don't regret that I didn't stay behind.
You would do it exactly the same if you were put in the situation again? Would you still grab your family, grab the horses, and get out of here?
I think I would grab my photos, but again, my kids were born in the non-digital era, so.
Damn, that's sad. Multiple experts over the past few years have warned that climate change will make these fires worse. One of those is fire ecologist Marty Witter, and as she says, we need to be very concerned about what's going on in the Amazon. What kind of impact would you say climate change has on wildfires as a whole?
Where we have problems, it's making them worse. Increasing the size of our fires and changing the time at which they can occur, and in some cases, the intensity.
As a fire ecologist, when you see what's happening in the Amazon rainforest, what comes to mind for you?
Anyone who's concerned about climate change should be concerned about the fires in the Amazon. Basically, there's CO2 in the atmosphere, and that's pulled out of the air into plants. So the Amazon is storing huge amounts of carbon. Now, if those trees are burned, there's carbon stored in those plants, and that carbon is going to be released back into the atmosphere as CO2.
And this is an honest question, forgive my ignorance.
No.
Why do we want less carbon in the atmosphere?
Because as we get more and more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it traps more heat, and our Earth temperatures go up. So that's why we're getting increased heating with global climate change.
So the irony of this all is that the burning of the Amazon rainforest will essentially, or could essentially, make the world hotter.
Yes. So it's going to accelerate the heating of the Earth.
What kind of impact do you think those kind of wildfires in the Amazon will have on the ecosystem?
They're going to cause what's called type conversion. So you're going to change from one type of vegetation to another type of vegetation. It's definitely bad for the Amazon ecosystem, absolutely. In our mountains, if you get type conversion from shrublands to annual grasslands, we don't see it coming back very often.
Damn, so this is bad. This is really bad.
It's really bad. Yes, it's really bad.
Damn.
Damn.
Is there any reversal? Like, is there anything we can do to stop that?
I think that it's going to take political and social pressure.
I mean, even watching the Amazon rainforest on the news, I mean, all of these things are impacting the planet in a very big way, and they're very real. They're real for my kids and their kids and the kids after them, you know, and I think we all need to pay attention to that.